Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our October Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee meeting. Thank you for being here. We have a number of folks in the audience. We might have some folks joining us via the live stream. This is a sort of a special meeting for two reasons. One, we have one of our esteemed police professionals here. Officer Rogers is going to give us a overview of some of the pedestrian safety safety pointers that he's given before to really good reviews. So we're glad he's here to share that with us. And the latter part of the meeting is actually going to be to open it up to the community, to get input on ideas and suggestions. And we've done this before. I think this is the third time we've actually formally done that. I mean, we get ideas all through the year, but this is one we actually devote some time to. So we will have that toward the end. And the other thing, and I know there's some members on our team that are going to be really happy, that I put together a deck for this. That surprises you. I know it surprises our mayor and it surprises others, but I sent the wrong deck to Will this morning. So we're going to go without a deck from, and I'll say Teresa and I, because we're the co-leaders of this, but I don't know if she wants to own that or not. But we'll talk. There are some important things I want to cover in the deck because it sort of shows a little bit of our history and journey with this. And I was sharing with some of our folks before. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. Do we have a motion to call the meeting to order?
I so move.
Thank you. Second. Vote?
All in favor?
Okay. Thank you. So then we'll want to approve the agenda. You have the agenda in front of you. And for those of you here, we're going to call the meeting to order, approve the agenda. We're going to go through the minutes, presentation from the Bethany Beach Police Department. We're going to cover some focus items that we learned from and worked on in 2005 and 2025, and then open it up for the floor. So I have one item that I would like to add to that, just a minor thing, is the meeting dates for 2026. I have a chart, the chart somewhere, but I have the dates for, so we can start planning for 2026, okay? So that's the only change. So do we have a motion to accept the meeting? Thank you, Mark. Second by Diane? Vote? Okay, great. So let me, the next thing on the agenda is to review our minutes from our August 28th meeting. You got that, I think, from Raylene either yesterday or this morning. Yeah. Not sure if you had a chance to review that. If you haven't had a chance to review it, great. If you haven't, and you have any subsequent changes, please just let us know. But I just do want to highlight the key things from the meeting we talked about. This is back in August 28th. This is just a summary of the notes. We had a safety contact that was actually submitted by one of our residents, the near-miss close call they had, which was really, it just happened out here on 26, on Route 1. And it really generated a lot of conversation and discussion. It was a real-life situation, could have been a lot worse, but those near misses and close calls are great learning opportunities. So that's how we started the meeting. Officer Ryan did an excellent job of sharing the police department report with a great deck, by the way. Chief, raise the bar.
It's the new thing now. I got punished there.
No, it was really good. It was really sharing a great summary of the incident so far and some of their near misses and close calls. So she did a fantastic job. Actually stayed with us the whole meeting, so that was awesome. We had some learnings from the ride-alongs we've been doing on the trolley. Had some great conversation and discussion from that. We had some community members had suggestions, just like you all are going to have today. And then we talked a good part about our Wave 3.0 initiatives. Again, that'll come up today. But that's sort of the guts of what we talked about in our meeting last month. So does anyone have any?
Yes. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Thank you. Keep me straight, Dan. Keep me straight. Anyone to second? Ryan, thank you. All in favor? Great. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Officer Rogers to give us his overview of pedestrian bicycle safety. And again, sir, thank you for being here. And again, we've gotten great feedback from when you've done this before. So thank you.
Thank you. Just before Rogers begins, just an FYI, he's born and raised in Ocean View, Delaware, lives 2 miles from here. He knows this area better than anybody in this room, I'd like to say. He is our IPMBA, International Police Mountain Bike Association instructor. He does our seasonal training every single year. He's an extremely huge asset to this agency. He has since the past 2 years taken over as the bike guy. He does everything for our agency. He trains everybody that rides a bike, including our seasonal officers, and he has become quite the expert in bicycle and pedestrian safety. Not that I'm pawning anything off on him, but he is doing a very good job with this.
Well,
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Great.
thank you everyone for allowing me to be here today. I want to say thank you to the committee, the mayor, and everyone from the council. So whoever was at the library meeting for the workshop, I tweaked this presentation a little bit with the approval of Chief Foley. So I think it's going to have some more informational statistics, some law changes that you might enjoy. Did that work, Will? Okay. Just want to hit on the key points real quick. We're going to go through the annual J1 Foreign Student Seminar that we hold once a year. Our bicycle safety checkpoints that we partner with DelDOT, do twice a year in the summer, both July and August. An update on motorized scooters, which we've all have a love-hate relationship with last summer. Electric bicycle laws, some pedestrian and safety education that our police department does, and then our new crosswalk installations. So this is our big J1 Foreign Safety seminar. Essentially, we do this once a year. This year was July, correct, Chief? I think it was July 21st. June? June. Okay. So the police department partners with ABC, which is Assisting Bicycle Commuters. They are a nonprofit organization based out of Mariners Bethel in Ocean View, Delaware. This is their supply of bicycles. These are all donated. People either want to trash the bicycles, they can fix them up or repair them. They have plenty of mechanics that can do the repairs. And then this nonprofit organization we partner with, which this year was at St. Anne's Church, they will actually loan these bicycles for the summer season to these J1 students. During that time, we partner with Wisfis Bank to help them with their banking needs. DART Bus Services was there to help them with transportation. We had the fire department. There's also like a community relations type of thing. And then we probably had half of our police department staff there. So a lot of the students that are visiting from other countries, they are scared of the police, unfortunately, from the countries they come from. So our mission is just to have an enjoyable experience with first responders, issue the free loaner bikes, safety cone course that they have to pass before they can leave, and then goodies, food, drinks. Here's a couple photos. So there is, I want to say roughly 10 people that work with the ABC out of Mariners Bethel. I kind of just assist them. I get on the bike, kind of try to interact as they do the cone course, as they're eating, drinking, and stuff like that. So a couple cool pictures. This is from this year at St. Anne's. The next big thing that I was talking about was our bicycle safety checkpoints. We usually host these on South Pennsylvania Avenue at Wellington Parkway. This year we held 2, one in July, one in August. We partnered with DelDOT again, which is their bicycle coordinator and their intern. During this time, we install bicycle lights free of charge. We do DelDOT hands out informational flyers, bike tune-ups, and we answer safety questions, concerns, kind of get some feedback from the general public. The top one here is from the July event, and then the bottom one here, I think was the August event. Is that the one you sent me, Chief? Yep. Here's some more photos. DelDOT helps us a lot with this event, and we're very appreciative of them. More recently, we've started to kind of create some advertisements, I guess you could say, on our local social media handles, just to try to draw a bigger crowd to some of these events. This one, between their two platforms, Instagram and Facebook, we reached over 10,000 people just alone, organically. The two checkpoints this year, the first July event was 160 sets of bicycle lights. The August event was 142, totaled in 302 total lights. That didn't include, I believe the committee handed out 100 during the 4th of July events. And then we always hand out bicycle lights if people come into the police department lobby. But I would say roughly just under 500 sets of lights we handed out just last summer. Motorized scooters. So these have been a thorn on our side all summer. They want to race down the roadways and go down the sidewalks. Thankfully, we didn't have any serious injuries that I'm aware of from last summer from these. So since mid-July, the police department took some enforcement action on the motorized scooters. Mike? Sorry, on the mic. Oh, because of the live. I'm sorry. So we took an enforcement action on the illegal motorized scooters. At that time, from mid-July until probably the beginning of September, we issued 38 written warnings. 31 of the 38 written warning violations, were for J1 foreign students, essentially for travel, for work. We had one arrest, which was a repeat offender, and it's $103 $50 fine. What everyone's going to be shocked about, which I don't know if anyone knows. There's an update. They will now be legal and are legal at this time as of August 21st, 2025. This was signed by the governor. It is House Bill 114, and it is now effective. So they have changed this. They still have motorized scooters as a subsection, but now these are going to be called low-speed motorized scooters. What these are, or they basically resemble the motorized scooter law that we used to have that was enacted in like the 90s, except these are going to be scooters that are no higher than 15 miles an hour. So the low-speed motorized scooters will be offered all the same rights as bicyclists, okay? So they are to abide by riding the right direction, stopping at a stop sign or red light if needed, and everything of that nature. The only stipulation is they cannot ride on sidewalks unless that agency or jurisdiction allows a dual pedestrian and bicyclist sidewalk, if that makes sense, which we don't have here. The local jurisdiction can also restrict from certain pathways. So, for instance, the nature center, that can be something that we could restrict. It must be powered by a motor, not human propulsion alone. It's the same definition basically as the original motorized scooter. It has to have handlebars, a throttle control. It has to be low to the ground, or like a deck or chassis that's low to the ground. And now they can either sit or stand on the device. So we've seen a mixture of that this summer. Some have seats, some don't. They still follow the same helmet law. So 18 years old or under, they must wear a helmet in the state of Delaware. And rental services are not prohibited. They are prohibited, which means that none of these local bike shops could rent these in the future, which should be nice. Big thing is January 1st of 2026, all manufacturers and dealers that are selling these low-speed motorized scooters, they have to affix a label to the actual frame. which allows us to do our job and make sure it's a legal device. Hopefully that happens, but with electric bicycles, we didn't really see that happen.
Hey, I got a question.
Sure.
With the motorized scooters, are they have to be registered with Delaware?
They're essentially considering them a bicycle. Doesn't need a valid license technically, doesn't need insurance. The only thing is they do need a helmet under the age of 18.
But the J1 students, were they getting them from rentals or were they buying them? Do we know?
I heard mixed things. Some were buying, and then some of the landlords were renting them to them.
Will the law prohibit them from doing that now?
I think this is still kind of like an ongoing, I think it could still change. Obviously, we're going to run into some issues with some of these. I did put in here, it didn't update. You have to be at least, 1 second. So there is a minimum age to operate these, 14 years old. I believe under 14, it has to be under direct supervision of a guardian. But I don't know if we'll see too much of that around here. Unless it's on private property, then they're completely legal.
Okay, thank you.
Electric bikes. So at this point, I spoke to Chief Foley earlier this morning. Since electric bicycles have really become popular in the recent years, at this point, the police department in Bethany has not had a motor vehicle or big investigation as far as a collision with the electric bike. We see plenty of them. I would say we see just as much, if not more, than these motorized scooters. But at this time, we haven't had a serious collision or injury with these bicycles. Created this little chart. Hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to understand. There's a lot of moving pieces, but essentially in Delaware, an electric bicycle can be 2 or 3 wheeled. It has to meet those. It has to have pedals that are operable, a saddle or seat, and an electric motor that is 750 watts or less, which is 1 horsepower. And then after that, they meet all those criteria. It has to be one of the 3 classes. So the first class is essentially, it's essentially, it's essentially assisted the entire time. So as you're pedaling, it's assisted 100%. As soon as you stop pedaling, you get no more assistance. Those aren't usually the most common. The most common would be your class 2. So you can have complete throttle. You don't have to pedal assist if you don't like. These 2 would be your most common, the class 1 and 2. Class 3 we're seeing rarely, as they are a lot faster. As you can see, they are legal up to 28 miles an hour, which is pretty fast. The only requirement difference between the 3 and the 1 and 2 is you have to be at least 16 years of age to operate, and you have to wear a helmet at all times. It doesn't matter your age. If you're a passenger on that as well, you have to have a helmet. Any questions there?
So there's no restrictions like the previous scooter?
Nope. So essentially, the electric scooter or the electric bicycles and the motorized scooters have the complete same rights as a normal bicycle, as long as they're following the the Delaware law as far as bicycling. Yep. So we move on to the Office of Highway Safety, Pedestrian Safety. So essentially, the Bethany Beach Police Department is offered a various number of jobs that are 4-hour at time jobs. They are a special duty job, and we basically educate pedestrians on sidewalk usage and pedestrian safety issues. As you can see here is from the No Kings protest last Saturday. This is an aerial view that was provided by Chief Foley. I don't even know if that touches, what time was that? Do you know?
That picture was, so the No Kings rally we had this past weekend was from 10 to 12 over here at the corner of the park. That picture was taken at 11:10 a.m. That was the peak.
That was the peak.
Peak time.
So that was the peak. Pretty wild. A lot of people. So when we are offered these jobs, it is either a single officer job, or we can tandem and do 2 officers. Sometimes the 2 officers is nice because if you have multiple violations in one area, the officers can split. And what we do is we educate the pedestrians, whether it's bicyclists or walkers, of the correct laws, essentially. A lot of times people are walking the wrong direction or they're bicycling in the wrong direction. That's typically what we see, and our job is to just address it, get them to switch, and then let them walk off. We totaled 1,300 contacts within those jobs. I don't have a specific job number that we worked. I would say it was about 25 4-hour gigs. So a good amount. I would say we have at least 50 to 75 interactions per officer per job. That's just a rough estimate. Oh, no. Okay, so the last point I want to hit. I don't know too much about this. I'm just going to hit on it briefly. I'm sure some of the council members and the pedestrian bicycle safety members know more about this. But the town is constructing 2 more pedestrian crosswalks in these following areas. The first one's going to be Route 1 at Route 26 on the north portion of the highway intersection here. That will also connect to Gibson. So you'll have a complete east shot from Gibson to the front sign here at Central Park and then across safely of the highway. The second one is going to be at the Bethany Diner, which is Route 26. It's just east of Half Moon Drive. I have these points up here too. It just kind of gives you a general idea. So hopefully that helps us. We definitely need it. We have a lot of pedestrian traffic, bicycle traffic. As we see, a lot of people are going to e-bikes and the motorized scooters, which just creates more congestion on our sidewalks and bike lanes. Any questions for me that I can answer that you might have?
I have one. Corporal, thank you. That's a great presentation, and I saw it in the library, and you're doing just as well today as you did back in the summer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question I have for you is about the motorized scooters.
Yes, sir.
The law says that they can't travel above 15 miles an hour, if I read that correctly. Are you seeing, or are we finding that there are motorized scooters that exceed 15 miles an hour? And coming from other jurisdictions, I think I heard some suggestion that might be happening. And what are we doing about that, or can we do anything about it?
So I think from our perception, they look like they're going faster than 15. I can say that myself too. And we sit out here and run speed all the time. We can pretty much calculate how fast we think someone's going just by looking. It looks like they're traveling very fast. The manufacturers and distributors are supposed to crack down on this and follow federal regulation, which would be the 15 mile an hour. At some point when the motor is modified, makes it now illegal. So if we have an idea that maybe the motor was tampered with to make that device faster, then it could be actually seized by the police department now. So we're able to seize these. They also have it's either fast or basically motorized scooters that are above the 15 mile per hour are completely still illegal. Any type of variation that doesn't meet the specific requirements.
Thank you.
No problem.
On local TV yesterday, it was reported in Ocean City, scooter accidents in 2025 were up 50% over 2024. Are we seeing a similar situation here?
Not to my knowledge. I can't say. We had one accident the summer of 2024, and it was actually a single operator that was operating one of these electric mopeds who hit a pothole southbound on 1. And since the wheel diameter is so small, the pothole was actually larger and caused, it was actually a J1 foreign student had flipped, concussion, got flown out, trooper 2. So other than that, I'm not aware, Chief, if you
Bethany Beach, as he mentioned, that's the one incident the past 2 summers. Ocean View had one early this summer, very similar, J1 student coming up the canal bridge into Bethany. So 2 documented accidents involving scooters in 2 summers. It's really the only time we see scooters is during the summertime. Ocean City, they're legalized, so they have more students, they have more younger aged kids that utilize those for travel. I see them everywhere in Ocean City. They're chaotic and they travel in the bus lane, hence all the accidents that they have. They're also in the shoulder of the roadway. I could see why those numbers are significantly higher, but we have 2 documented reports in 2 summers in Bethany, so it's not bad.
I would say, if anything, for any moving vehicle, if we were to put it all out there, I would say the gas mopeds are probably the biggest issue that we've ever had over the years. And that would just be them riding in the bicycle lane, which we try to enforce. I didn't really touch too much about that because we don't really have an issue with them anymore. We do have them occasionally riding in the bicycle lane, but we do address that. We tell them, hey, you have a registered vehicle. It's a moped tag. You have to follow all the same laws as a motor vehicle. So, but that was a learning curve, I would say, about the last 5 years ago. So it's just, all this is new, and I think it's going to take a while for people to kind of understand before it really clicks. But
So, Corporal Rogers, thank you again. One of the things we've talked a lot about, and you touched on it, and Officer Ryan did before, and we highlighted one of the officers before for some of their work they did on a late night issue. But when you have those numbers of engagements, and you showed the numbers before, how are those generally received? Because I mean, that's a challenge we have, engaging with people, talking with people, raising their awareness, understanding the why. What's the nature of those conversations that you and the staff have with folks that you pull over? And you talked about education. Are they receptive? Do they get it? Are they just trying to get through it to get on with what's your view of that?
are you speaking more on the the pedestrian safety enforcement that we do?
Yeah, or both. Anything when you pull somebody over, and you're not going to write them up. You're just, like you talked about the
Yep.
education piece.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, we only had 1 repeat offender from the electric moped. So, yeah, most people weren't using them after. They were completely responsive to it.
Good.
I would say, if anything, maybe the pedestrian's walking the wrong direction. When you go to address that, they seem not to care too much. This side of the road is more shaded than the other. We get stuff like that. But yes, people are very, we got that a couple times this year. But yes, most people, they'll be willing to talk to you. Most of the time they don't know, they're from different states. Most of the time where they're from in cities, they do have sidewalks. They're never really walking on the roadway.
Right. I mean, that was one of the things that highlighted, the sergeant from Jupiter highlighted both trying to use sort of both enforcement piece. They've been more rigorous with that, as well as the education and sort of behavioral reinforcement.
Yep.
So it's trying to do both. So okay.
I can say that I know along Atlantic and Pennsylvania Avenues, to my knowledge, I do think we have the bicycle logo with the arrow and the pedestrian logo. I'm not sure, you might have to correct me here, but it might be something that we look into where we have a dual image with the directions.
Okay.
Some people made comments on stuff like that. They saw the bicycle arrow, but not the other pedestrian arrow. So it's just some of the comments that we got, what we had received while out there.
Thanks again for your presentation. You mentioned that you haven't seen a lot of the Class 3 e-bikes,
Yep.
but you also said they can go 28 miles an hour. So if one is operating on Route 26 on the other side of Route 1, should they be in the bike lane? Or, I mean, with a 30 mile per hour speed limit, are they better with the cars or with the non-electric bikes?
I completely understand. To my knowledge, I can't say that I've ever seen someone operate a Class 3 at 28 miles an hour in the middle of the summer. It's just not really going to happen. I think most of your electric bicyclist enthusiasts are responsible bike owners. They know how to bike, or they wouldn't be to that level. I can tell you it's scary getting on an electric bike going 20 miles an hour. I have one. It's a weird feeling. So I think people don't push those limits.
So then they would stay in the bike lane?
Yep, in the bike lane. I don't think we have an issue with it. They yield to pedestrians and other bicyclists. And to my knowledge, we haven't had any serious accidents involved in that.
Thanks.
So this doesn't really pertain to this, but we just literally got back from a trip to Spain, and particularly in Barcelona and Madrid. They do a great job, and they have a very active bicyclist community and scooters and the whole thing. And what they do is they, particularly in the major thoroughfares, they actually have that lane in the walklet way. So it's not, the good thing is it's not in the highway. The challenge is it's in the walkway. So you have this beautiful promenade, right? People are walking, and you've got scooters and bikes flying up and down that. It's an interesting challenge.
It
right?
is.
And that was one of our biggest areas of focus, was not get, you really had to like be very aware of what was coming and what was, because they're don't make much noise. And that's one of the challenges we have here, the noise issue, or lack of noise, right? With the scooters
Yep.
and the electric bikes, you
Yep.
just don't
You don't hear it.
hear them as much. And
I can say that as far as readdressing your question, was the electric bicycles, they can also travel in a or in a motor vehicle lane if they decide to.
yeah,
So
great.
depends on the operator how comfortable they are. If there's any traffic where they can signal, move into the lane of travel until they pass maybe a manual bicycle, that's operating at much lower speeds.
Anything else from the committee? Any questions from the folks in the audience?
I just have one observation. When you do
Sir, could you just go up?
Oh.
Yeah, okay, 'cause we were not, so people can hear you that are, yeah, thank you.
Sure. Just one observation of the new law you pointed out, that the motorized scooters can drive on the highways.
Mm-hmm.
And you also pointed out they have a maximum speed of 15 miles an hour. I would hope when you do your training, safety training for bikes and everything and most of your instances of violations were foreign students that are here for the summer and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you would encourage them to use the bike lanes and not the highway, because we all know in the summertime, traffic on Route 26 can be a nightmare. I'd hate to have a lot of these motorized scooters that can't go more than 15 miles an hour driving up and down Route 26. I can imagine that would be a disaster in getting traffic flow going.
So they're supposed to operate just in the bicycle lane at this point. So they wouldn't interfere with motor vehicle traffic.
But the new law allows them, as I read it, the new law allows them to go on
Technically, they're afforded the same
roadways,
laws
highways,
as
everything.
no sidewalks. No sidewalks.
No,
just
not on
bicycle lane. As far as the law is written, it says they're afforded the same things as a bicycle. So we don't rarely ever see them move into like a westbound or eastbound 26 lane. Most of the time they are occupying that bicycle lane. And most of the time we don't even see them during the day. The J1 students, they're operating them early in the morning, they're going to work. They usually leave that job at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they're headed to another job. So we usually see them early in the morning and then late at night. So it's usually not during the busy times of the day, if that makes sense. But it might be changing, so there might be a lot more. It's just one of those things. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're gonna post that on our social media pages so everyone's kind of aware. Make sure they're following the law and make sure this next summer goes smoothly.
Corporal Rogers, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, again, I apologize for not having the charts for this, because this is actually the most important piece, but I did want to share a little bit with you, and I'm just going to go through these really quickly to highlight, but I wanted to share with you some of the ideas that came up in our previous sessions over the last couple of years when we had these kind of forums. And we broke these ideas up into sort of three. We sort of talked about there were some ideas that were sort of brick and mortar kind of things that involved infrastructure, building something, an additional lane, for example. There were other things that we put into a bucket called administrative options. And then there was a third option, which is what we were actually talking a lot about with Corporal Rogers, was engagement and behavioral change. So there's a little overlap in that, but we tried to cake your ideas and thoughts and put them in those three buckets so we could sort of work on those. So let me just give you a summary of some of the things. Now, this came out of the structural ideas over the last couple of years. Additional crosswalks on 26. Officer Rogers spoke to that. I'm going to cover that in just a second. Physical barrier separating bike paths like a mini curb. Stoplight on Route 1 in Central. Stoplight on Route 1 on more of the more northern streets. Pathway through the Central Park. Widened sidewalks on Route 26 from 5 to 8 feet, speed bumps on the east side of Parkwood, speed bumps on the west side of Collins, which we completed, Collins and Kent bicycle pedestrian markings, which we've done, move traffic light back from Kent to Gibson on Route 26 was an idea, and then expanded pedestrian crossing on Route 21 and 26 intersection. That's right out here, and that's in progress. So those are some of the ideas that came up from you all that fell into that bucket. What I wanted to do is give you a little bit of an idea of the things that we're acting on from a council perspective. And Teresa, please add to this. One, we're working on the completion of the four-way pedestrian crosswalk right out here. Right now it's two-way. We're going to go ahead and make that a four-way. And along with that's going to be a contiguous sidewalk so that when you cross that way and you're going up on like the south side of Central Park, if you will.
South, yeah.
It'll go straight up. So that's in progress. Improved intersections on south side of Garfield Parkway. That's both at the Officer Rogers were referring to that a little bit, where the diner and bike shop is. You see that work going on right now. Yeah. That was a driving nightmare, but more importantly, a pedestrian and bicycle safety nightmare because people were just doing just about everything on that. That's in progress. Installation of 2 new crosswalks on Garfield Parkway. That's going to be, we're working on that. Improved pedestrian walkway at the intersection of Kent and Garfield. That's right here where that, if you're coming north on Kent and you get up to the intersection there, you basically, the pedestrian walkway just ends, right? And then you get the traffic, it sort of pushes you right into the traffic that merges right to come this way. So we've tried to work with Deldat on that, really couldn't get much movement, so we just decided to go ahead and we're going to work on that ourselves and come up with a solution, at least to get pedestrians to a safer spot so they can get, if they want to go straight across to the parkway, or to the park, we want to give them a walkway to do that that doesn't involve them, you know, going head-to-head with traffic that's turning.
Right, and a crosswalk across the Garfield extension.
Right.
And then a sidewalk over the grass, so you're not walking.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. Excellent. And last one, we're going to be doing a review of South Pennsylvania Avenue and North Atlantic for a number of different reasons, but one of the most primary ones is around safety improvement. So that's in the concept stage right now. So that'll cover going this way on Pennsylvania and that way on North Atlantic.
Right.
We've
And
been talked about it for a long time, but we're going to move forward to get some concepts, some ideas on that. That's a longer-term project, but
Right, and that contract, that design contract was approved on Friday, so it will be several months before we have those designs.
yeah. So I just wanted to give you all an update on that because that's stuff we're moving on from a council perspective, right? I mean, they're big infrastructure kind of things. Let me give you just a summary of the administrative options that came up with before. Bike rack near Town Hall.
That's done.
That's done. Install bike repair stations. I know Kemp had shared that with us from some of the stuff at other parks. I'm not saying we've done that yet, but these were ideas that came up. Signage on Route 1 and 26 to reduce speed. Signage on Route 1 and 26 and Route 1, no right turn on red. Reduce speed limits on 1 and 26. Signage near bike racks focused on etiquette. Allow bikes on sidewalks on Route 26. Enhance police enforcement of bike and pedestrian rules and issues. We've been doing that. Help getting the overtime and that funding back really helps with that. Greater utilization of seasonal police officers to engage public. That's been great, and we had a full staff this year. And develop leading indicator metrics. The last one, this falls into engagement and behavioral changes. Again, these are your ideas that we've been working on. These are all really in progress, and they all fall into the sort of the WAVE issue, 3.0 initiative. Discourage side-by-side biking, passing etiquette, enhanced attentiveness. This is around bicycles, communication, safety statistics, shared focus on Coastal Point, other events, other ways of communicating information, holding safety, short safety events, communicating rules, procedures, expectations, training of usage for the RRFBs. You know, we've gotten better at it, but we can still do better. That's in progress. Completed, folks suggested a traffic study for Atlantic and Pennsylvania intersections up here. We did that, and that was completed. Engage more second homeowners, increase personal responsibility for the larger community, and T-shirts with safety messages. So those were all ideas that you all came up with, some of which we've acted on. So again, I apologize for you all not being able to see those, but my point is, and our point is, you all have shared a lot of great ideas. We're not losing any of these. We keep them in front of us. What we want to do now is transition into getting your input and your feedback. Now, the only proviso I'd like to share with us, we're not going to get into whether it's a great idea, bad idea, how to do it, when to do it. We just want to get ideas at this point. Okay? It's almost like a traditional brainstorm. We want to hear anyone who has any, and we'll capture those, and then that becomes sort of the feedstock for our committee to continue to work. Does that summarizing it that way, any upgrades from our team and committee?
Could I just ask Mickey,
Please,
just
Art.
a few more details in terms of the crosswalk work that's being done?
Sure.
In other words, up here, the one where we're going to, again, put the crosswalk on the north side of Garfield and Route 1. That'll be great. So, again, I was expecting that perhaps that would have been implemented this fall. Is there a timeline or a projection in terms of when that may come into play?
We're hoping to get it to the fall, but I'm not sure we're going to bid. By the time we get the final design and get it bid out,
Right.
but we're sort of in that bid process right now where we get the design and we have to bid it out.
Okay. And then weather comes into play in terms of...
Well,
when
yeah,
we
yeah,
can-
yeah, all
right,
that, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
But that's a good, but obviously off-season's a really good time for us to do it rather than in-season. So we want to try to do it before next summer.
Right, okay. So the hope would be that both of these will be done by next summer.
Right.
Okay, the second one is, I've seen all the work out by Bethany West that's being done right now. It's quite extensive. So is that part of what the crosswalk is going to be implemented?
No, those are two different, they're completely different. What the common denominator are, it's a great question. And folks who travel 26 know it's one of the probably most dangerous spots in this community, right? Whether you're on a car or on a bike or a pedestrian. It's just fraught because there's so many ins and outs, right? So those two projects, or the two projects that are around Bethany West, really, one is the diner, right? Because then you have that entrance going in, those businesses that when that was designed, they weren't there, it wasn't as busy, and it became chaos, right? So we're trying to engage it. The other one, and it actually is right across the other entrance of Bethany West, but it's right across from the St. Anne's on the other side, is that lane is only really wide enough technically for one lane of traffic. So if you get up there and you're turning left, you block everything on the right. And there's no pedestrian walkway there, right?
There's
I mean,
only
it just
one
sort
on
of,
the east side.
it just runs out of space and it juts out. So we're gonna, that's again driven by pedestrian safety. So we wanna have a walkway to get people up there that's not, so they're not having to fight cars.
Right. So, but again, right now, one of the places that I know that still gets a lot of traffic is people cross over from like the DeFebo's Market parking lot over
Right.
to the DeFebo's restaurant and the other businesses over there. And I see all sorts of chances, you know, with possible, you know, people being hit because people just, cars aren't watching,
Yeah.
cars are aggressive. I mean, even when I was over at DeFebo's a couple weeks ago and I had to cross back over, it was a challenge. People were
Right.
not willing to stop. There were a couple of people that just blazed right through. I had to wait for quite a while to be able to cross, even
Right.
though there are, you know, a marked crosswalk there. So is there anything that can be, I know there's some blowback from people didn't want to have construction on their property, I guess it
So-
was. But is there anything that can be done to perhaps enhance the safety of the people that need to, because again, there's a lot of people going back and forth just because of the businesses and where they're located.
Right.
Is there
So
anything that can
there
be
is a
done?
project. It's not going to be in that exact location.
Okay,
It will be
Is
a
this the island?
Yes, and there will be an island, but we were not, DelDOT isn't letting us put in a rapid flashing beacon. It will just be a refuge island. So you can go halfway, you can stop, and then look at the traffic going in the other direction.
okay, so the island will be again in that area basically between where you go cross by DeFebo's Market over to
No, it will
DeFebo's-
be west of that.
West of that, okay. All right, well,
There's gonna be one
And
on,
when,
there's
is
gonna be
there
one.
a timeline on that one?
No,
yeah, but, so.
we're working on the plans.
So
We're
I'm
working
going to
on
be
the plan.
really direct with you, Art, because it's a great question. We wanted to put it where we thought was the most valuable, and we got a lot of pushback from the businesses because of
The property owners.
the property owners about it would take a parking spot, which really wasn't true, but that's what they said, and they pushed back. They wanted to do all kinds of other things, and we said, you know what, we're not going to play games with this. This is a pedestrian safety issue, so we're going to put 2 spots in that probably aren't the ideal spot for that, which we thought. But we're going to get now 2 protected islands for people to get across 26.
great. So this will be further up towards Grottos, I guess?
One would be, one would be
Yeah.
more, actually, one would be a little bit further down toward, like the Wawa,
Oh, okay, okay. So it would be east.
There's going to be 2 of
There's,
them,
yeah,
right? There's
one
gonna
will be by Wawa, one will be west of DeFebo's Market.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so there's going to be 2.
All right, that's
There's going to
good.
be 2, that's what I was, yeah.
Okay.
So that was our sort of fallback. If we can't get where we really want it,
Yeah.
then we're not gonna sit here and wait and play games with people because it's too important from a public safety perspective. So we're gonna move forward.
No, thank you very much, because I know there's a lot of concern about safety there. And again, when I'm driving out on 26, I'm always kind of just looking to
Sure.
see who might be crossing, what might be going on.
Right, and it's,
And
there are a lot of
that
people.
aren't here regularly, they just kind of blaze right through, and it's, I'm just concerned about people being able to safely cross.
Oh, it's,
So I
yes.
know you guys are aware of it, I just wanted to try and find out what the latest was.
Well, and I'm also, I mean, we talk a lot about DeFebo's Market, but the reality is there are a lot of people who cross between Wawa and the villas. That's a busy area right there.
Yes,
So, and the car traffic there with people coming in and out of Wawa is nuts. So to have a crosswalk there, I think is another big improvement.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so just, hold on just a second, Bill. I just wanted to get, so that's sort of our current status of projects and the ideas we've had before, okay? So let's sort of transition, and Art, that's a great question, thank you. So let's transition to sort of brainstorming, and I just ask you if you would go up to the podium, state your name.
And address.
Address, so that people listening live can hear you, and share your idea. So, Bill, you were ready to roll, so go ahead, brother. No, go ahead. Seriously, we want people to hear you. That's the only,
Oh, wow. You came prepared.
Thank you very much.
I'm Bill Bergfeld, live at 414 Gibson Avenue. And I just, my wife Ann and I have been brainstorming for a while, and obviously the last several years. You've heard some of our comments, and I sent a letter 2 or 3 years ago. We redid it. We just made it more pointed.
Okay.
And I'm giving it to the committee, and I have extra copies if anybody wants wants a copy of it. But I want to make one comment first on the crosswalks and the islands. Part of the research that I did putting this letter together was to look at a new manual that was put out by Delaware, DelDOT, on calming measures to calm traffic. And the thing that I took out of that whole thing, there's two things, but the first thing is most important about that, and I make a comment on it. Has anybody talked to DelDOT about using a calming measure on those two walkways, like a raised sidewalk? Which a raised sidewalk is raised up 3 or 4 inches, but what it does is it slows traffic down. And I think, I don't know what their requirements are for it. From what I read, I think that would work there, but it might be something that the town wants to talk to DelDOT about, is potentially making those raised sidewalks, which slows the traffic as well. That's really, really a dangerous part of this town.
So they'll have to permit this work.
Yeah,
So we could certainly ask. We're having it designed by a traffic engineer.
right.
And then they approve it and permit it, but we can ask.
Yeah, just ask
Yeah.
and see if it's feasible.
Sure.
So, Bill, let me be clear. When you're talking about that, you're talking about that area that we're actually gonna put in the third lane, the traffic that's gonna be the pedestrian.
No, I'm talking about just right up here, Wawa, and then
Yeah.
across from DeFebo's. If you have a center lane in there, it's gotta be raised anyway, just like we have out here, that they raise the center part where you stop, and it's your,
Yeah, the
to
island
get,
would be raised.
so why not make it raised all the way across the street?
Okay,
It
that's
almost
what,
acts like a mini speed
It's
bump.
like a mini speed bump, is
Yeah.
basically what it is.
but what you're talking about is making that, I just wanna be clear, because I got you're talking about raising the whole thing,
Yeah.
that whole third lane.
It's not a third lane,
26.
the walk.
No, the walk across, the crosswalk only,
So it goes across.
Oh, the crosswalk.
Yeah.
right, just the crosswalk.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Just raise
Okay,
the crosswalk.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, thank you.
All right. So we'll go back and I'm just going to go real fast through this because I don't want to take up a lot of time. And I think the major thing is to reduce the speed. And I don't care. I'm tired of DelDOT saying we're going to keep it at 30. We're going to keep it at 35. Bullshit. They've reduced Dagsboro. They reduced Lewis and Dewey to 25.
Yeah.
We've got as many people as they do. Reduce the speed and be done with it. And I don't care if it's reduced during the summer and it goes back to normal during the winter, that's fine. But my wife and I travel a lot, we see flashing signs that gives the speed. And some days it's 35, some days it's 25. Some days you're going up to a school, it'll be 20. We can do that and just make it that way. Because anytime things change, people pay just a little bit more of attention. And I think reducing the speed here during the summer, it's reduced anyway on 26 because of the traffic, effectively. So, but this way, and I know our officers do a great job of being out here all the time, but they're not out there all the time. And we see people blitzing through here. I mean, just yesterday, we saw somebody going like 50 miles an hour right past here. And we see it all the time. People aren't. If you give them a reason to have to look and say, oh, there's a flashing sign, something's going on, and especially with special events and things going on in town, we got more traffic, reduce the speed.
Bill, hang on. I can't speak on Dagsboro, but I know for Dewey, it was easier for them to get the speed limit on Coastal Highway reduced to 25 because, one, it was Coastal Highway, and two, they have a lot of business front store properties that dump on the sidewalk.
Right.
And a lot of bars.
Yeah.
We just don't have that on 26, which I think is part of DelDOT's reasoning to leave it at 30.
Yeah. And I don't know, I know we did a traffic study. I don't know if we did a pedestrian traffic study to see how many people walk every day, but I bet our numbers are just as high as theirs are.
That traffic study has pedestrian counts.
Okay. Is it available on the website, our website?
I don't know the answer to that, but we can get you a copy if you want to see it.
Okay, certainly. Use of traffic calming devices and processes. The major thing, if we can't get the speed limit reduced, is reduce the size of the travel lanes. You had an expert from DelDOT come and talk about calming devices and reducing the lane width. Does it? You can do it on 26. You can take the extra space that's available in the turn lane, put it into the bike lane, give people in the bike lane more space. I'm a big believer in increasing the size of the sidewalks, and I'll say it every time I see you and we talk about it, is get them to 8 foot and then keep them at 8 foot all the way through town. Don't stop here and do 3 foot, 4 foot. Make it 8 foot all the way to the destination. If you were going to run a hose, you'd want the full length of the hose all the way at 6 inches or 6 feet instead of reducing it at the end. Mark the crosswalks. There are no crosswalks marked if you're going up 26 until you get to the church. So on either side, and I'm talking like across Gibson, and even...
You're talking between Route 1 and Fairway, which is St. Anne's, that intersection.
I'm talking about all the way up on 26.
Okay.
Anytime you cross a street, if you're walking on 26 and you cross a street, there's no crosswalks marked, except till you get to St. Anne's.
Yeah.
I understand there's one other spot that has a crosswalk on the south side of St. Anne's,
Yeah.
but the rest of them have no markings. Why don't we have markings? At least it's a visual cue to people that are both walking that they got to stay in that crosswalk, and to drivers. And that, I've made that recommendation, not just on 26, but in the rest of the town too. If there's a stop sign, there should be a pedestrian crosswalk across there that's marked, clearly marked.
If I may,
Okay?
if I may interrupt for 1 minute, if the traffic study which you're requesting is the Bethany Beach Traffic Engineering and Design Report, that is posted on the committee page for this committee, and I have it showing right there on the screen.
Wonderful.
Okay. Thank
All
you,
right.
Will.
I'm a believer in eliminating the bicycle restriction on the sidewalks. I know a lot of people aren't, but the people who have beach bikes and little kids, it's a danger to have them on the street. They're much better off on the sidewalk. If they're 8 foot sidewalks, it gives us more space to do that. But I just really believe that little kids on bikes should not be on the highway and on the street. We've talked a little bit about e-bikes. We have to establish some more rules. We've talked about that before. The crosswalk of Kent Avenue and 26, that light is so short there. You really have to be an athlete to get across there before it stops. And it's a simple thing to do. The same way with this turn lane here. DelDOT can change that. It's easy to do. Just do it and allow people that are going to go on 26 this way
Yeah,
to
left
have
turn.
the time to turn left and go down 26 when they're coming north. I do the same thing, recommend the same thing for Route 1, is to reduce the speed. I really think that there should be 3 traffic signals in town across Route 1 where people have the safe pathway across instead of rapid flashing. I see it every day. People, they rely on them instead of relying on their internal safety mechanisms, and they walk right, they push the button, don't even look, walk right across. Somebody's going to get hurt.
I think you've been hanging out with my husband, Bill. He says the same thing all the time.
All the time. The other, the rest of town, I know you're going to be doing 26, Atlantic and Pennsylvania, and getting that straight out. Those are wide enough there. Those you can work with. But there are other streets in town, that Campbell Place, and the one south here and the one up by Addie by the sea. They're wide enough. If you look at them, there's wide enough to put a 10-foot parking space from the property line out, an 8-foot walkway, and then a 10-foot drive lane. It just makes sense that when we resurface, we should paint those things in there and give people that option. And that way you've got more east-west safe walkways. And I think it's just a matter of over years to do that kind of thing. The only other one thing that I want to say is in just reviewing stuff, there is a program the Department of Transportation has in Delaware about making pathways, pedestrian pathways. And I would imagine it's a grant program because it says it is. And I would think that if we wanted to, we could put together a very nice package to present to them to make some of this happen sooner rather than later. And I know that the town and the budget and that whole process, but if we could become a model for safe pedestrian and bicycle safety in a resort or beach community, that would go a long way, not just to protect our people, but protect other people in other parts of the country. I'll take any questions, and I'm going to sit down. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
So, Bill, thank you again for and Ann for putting this together. A lot of these we had talked about before, right? We had on our list. That's why we keep them, because nothing goes away. This is the whole idea. So thank you for sharing this, and we'll share this, obviously. Well, we're going to share all this with the rest of council, but this particular, thank you. Yes, sir, if you could just, again, introduce yourself, and thank you.
So my name is Craig Wagner, my wife Barbie. We've had a house at 213 Oakwood Street since the early 1980s. So I wanted to talk about two pedestrian safety concerns, both related to slowing down traffic. I'll start with Pennsylvania Avenue. Because we have street parking on both sides of Pennsylvania pretty much the whole way, if you're walking or biking, you're forced to be inside of the parked cars right on the roadway. We also don't have any four-way stop signs from Oakwood Street until you get to Garfield. When you're going south, there's at least one more, there's two more, I think, before you get out to the highway. Even though the bike paths and walkways are marked to show people where to go one direction or the other, the issue is most people don't even see those things. In the summertime, when we have renters and visitors, they're oblivious to that. So because of the street parking, depending on which side of the street you're on, a lot of times people are coming at you and you have to basically step out in the street to pass and whatever. I spend most of the summertime yelling at people flying from Oakwood to Garfield. And when I say flying, I mean 45, 50 miles an hour. Sometimes have to step out in the street to get them to stop. And that's why you have people walking with little kids and bikers, sometimes passing each other and being out in the street. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. So my suggestion to slow it down would be to put more four-way stops. Ideally, I would want to have a four-way stop on every intersection on Pennsylvania all the way out to the highway, because no matter what the speed limit is, doesn't matter if you get them to drop it below 25 to 20, that doesn't slow people down. We're never going to have a sizable police presence to be constantly writing tickets and getting people to slow down. So that's my suggestion relative to Pennsylvania Avenue, to look at making every intersection a four-way stop. Ideally, they're close enough together, people won't be able to speed up enough before they get to the next four-way stop.
They'll take another route.
And then I won't have to be yelling at visitors and residents all summer.
You mentioned, I just want to clarify, Bill or Craig, when you said speeding, you said Oakwood to
Garfield.
Garfield. So the people, because there's no stop signs, they're going at an excessive rate of speed to go from one way to the other. That's what you
They're
meant,
actually
right?
speeding both ways. When you're,
That's
when you're
like that
going,
stretch.
when
Okay,
you're
yeah.
going south, I think there's only, from Oakwood, there's only 2 cross streets
Yeah.
that don't have a 4-way stop before you finally hit where there is a stop sign,
Great,
okay?
Yep,
Coming this way, there's 3 full blocks that are wide open.
gotcha, I
And
understand.
it goes on,
Right,
and the problem is exacerbated because of the street parking.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere to walk except in the very narrow bike and walkways, and you're right on the street.
right.
So I would suggest that's something to look at.
Thank you, yep.
My other traffic concern is related to Oakwood Street, and I'm here representing a number of residents on Oakwood Street. Probably 15, maybe 20 years ago, we met with the then mayor of the town and said, we have a lot of traffic on Oakwood Street because we are one of the few streets that's open from Kent Avenue all the way to the beach. And we said it's getting worse and worse all the time. The mayor agreed, and they put in speed bumps. The reason we asked for the speed bumps is we also have on Oakwood, actually on all the streets that are west of Pennsylvania, it's both residential and business parking. So basically, if you look at during the summer, Oakwood Street, wall-to-wall cars on both sides of the street all day. Most of which is business parking. And when I say all day, they show up at 7:30 in the morning and get a parking spot. When their shift is open, and we see this all the time, they come back and they sit in their cars and they're calling their friends and saying, I'm getting ready to leave, there's going to be a spot open. So the people who are working later shifts come in and literally they just wait and then they park. Those people don't leave till like 11 at night when it opens back up. So if you're a resident there and you're going to have guests or whatever and you need some extra parking, you literally have to wait until it opens up either at 11 o'clock at night or get up the crack of dawn and move one of your cars out there. So my first suggestion, and the reason this becomes an issue because of the parking on both sides, we get a lot of beachgoers that come across the highway and go up Oakwood. All the people who live in Bethany proper and people on their side, for whatever reason, Oakwood seems to be the street. So in the summertime, we've got kids and families heading to the beach, coming back. Both sides of the streets are parked cars. Literally, when the cars are parked, I don't think 2 cars can even pass each other half the time because, as you know, a lot of people leave half their car, 2 of their wheels are out in the several feet into the street. They don't actually get off the street. So one suggestion is to look at, can we get rid of business parking on that stretch of Oakwood Street, which will eliminate over half the cars that are parked on the street. The other suggestion is our speed bumps no longer impede or slow down traffic. Interestingly, the only cars that actually slow down are the ones that are already going 25 miles or less. They slow down and go over the hump. Everybody else fires right over it. We get a lot of construction traffic that comes down Oakwood. As recently as yesterday, a pickup truck carrying an empty trailer came flying down the street, didn't slow down the speed bumps at all. They were going 40 miles an hour, bam, 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 all the way down the street. I think the problem, and the other thing, in the off-season, people just drive around the speed bumps. They actually drive in the shoulders, if cars aren't parked there, in the gravel to go around them. So I think we should look at not only eliminating business parking on that stretch, but also raising the height of the speed bumps so you actually have to slow down to 10 miles an hour to reasonably go over the hump. And our neighbors on the street, all summer, we'd see all these families with their little kids walking to the beach. Cars literally have to stop, depending on which way you're going. They're stopping, trying to let the people go by. Some people stop, not all of them. So not only raise the height of the speed bumps, but also, I would suggest extending them further to the side so people don't drive around them in the off-season. It's just a disaster waiting to be happen. We've had a number of accidents on Oakwood Street and the highway over the years. I think we had one or two this summer. I don't know if people aren't paying attention when they come through town. And we got a lot of people crossing there, but there are numerous accidents that happen there. So those are my two suggestions for the safety of pedestrians, and particularly all these people that use Oakwood. Shockingly, Wellington, next street over, is two-way traffic, and there's even a walkway. It doesn't get used that much. It just doesn't. I don't know why. It's just people have their walking patterns heading to the beach. So those are my suggestions for the committee. And first, I'd like to thank you for volunteering and giving up your time to serve the town. Thanks.
I just want to add something real quick. My name is Barbie.
Barbie, can you, just so people can hear you that are.
We record these meetings.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Just to go on fact with.
Thanks, Greg.
With the grass on Wellington, I think there's no signs that say don't park on the grass, on the, where they have grass in the middle. We walk dogs, people walk dogs there, so forth and so on. But there's no, and on the other side of the highway here at Oakwood, there's grass on that side where the condos are, and I forget what the name of the condos are. But people don't park on there either. No signs that say don't park on the grass. It's amazing how everybody, gets in the business people park on Oakwood early in the morning and stay there all day long. And I, one time, went out and they have tags hanging, say employee parking. I took pictures of every car and the tag. It was just to make my point, my husband, that they were all business people, and they sit there, like you said, and waits for the second. So anyway, that's Oakwood's, it's a tough street to sit there, try to relax when you're yelling at people. But thank you for hearing us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have a quick question, if I may, sir. I hear you on Oakwood. I've been here over 20 years. I've seen the cars. It is a cut through from Kent Avenue, 100%, I agree with you. As for the speed, we have had officers, including myself, sit out there and run speed, and the numbers that you might think are 40 miles per hour may be 27 or 28 miles per hour, statistically. So just because you feel the car's going 40, it might not necessarily be going over 25. Poles, I do understand what you're saying. Cars are going around the speed humps, especially this time of year where there's no cars parked there. Maybe putting up like a pole on either side, which I've seen in private communities, that could be effective, but that would probably give up a parking spot on each side of the speed bump, which would probably people would complain about that. My big thing here is, I'm thinking of all the business parking, and we have, I don't know how many stores, maybe 50 plus stores in town, and majority of the people that work here are younger kids. I know that for a fact because our seasonals escort them back to their cars at 11:30 at night because it's dark, it's desolate, and they're young. And they have a lot of cash, they have tips, they have earnings, they have phones, they have, ear pods, they have stuff that costs money. So they ask our officers to escort them back, and we do that throughout the summer. How would you expect us, as the town, to go to businesses and say, stop parking in front of people's houses when we live and work at the beach? I'm just curious. I'm trying to think. The wheels are going in my head. How are we going to try to accommodate your request as a homeowner so you can have an extra spot in front of your house, but tell the businesses that instead of parking 5 blocks away from Garfield Parkway, now they have to park 7 or 8 blocks away? I'm trying to think the police chief and as a parent, when my son comes to work in a couple of years and starts driving, you can't park there because you're going to have to park further away from your business. I think on the town standpoint, the businesses are going to have a massive pushback from that because there's only so many spots divvied up in the town for businesses, for residents, and for beachgoers. So it's kind of, I feel like a tornado of bad juju that's going to happen to the town to accommodate that request. And I understand where you're coming from, but I don't see that possible on the police side, trying to enforce no business parking in front of your home on Oakwood Street.
So, Chief, I appreciate your comments, but let's, again, keeping in the spirit of this, let's not try to solve it and come up with, we'll certainly consider it, and as everyone knows, parking in Bethany is a
Challenge.
interesting project that goes on every year. That we can certainly put that into that whole equation.
Can you go back to the microphone?
So in trying to disperse some of the business parking, I think it's only residential parking on the streets between Pennsylvania and Atlantic. I'm pretty sure every street, it's only residential parking. So there are parking spots there that could be residential and/or business, disperse some of this out. My other thought is, I noticed that the church opened their parking lot this summer, and I guess it was pay parking or whatever. I mean, why wouldn't we go to the businesses and say, why don't you assist your employees by giving them a seasonal parking pass or whatever to park there in the church parking, whether the businesses pay for it or they just encourage their employees, this is where you should park, not scattered through the residential areas. So that's just off the top of my head, a couple thoughts. Related to the parking problem in general, when we were, it's been a few years ago, talking about what to do with the property over here that's now Central Park, I was a huge advocate of putting a parking garage somewhere on that big piece of property. Pick any corner you want. Didn't have to be a massive, 5-story parking garage. It could have just been 2 levels. That would have helped with parking. And that didn't get any traction. And it's lovely to have open space, but even back then, I contended how much foot traffic, how many people are actually using the park? Because I asked a bunch of my neighbors that live on this side of the highway, to a person, 0 use of the park. Nobody's crossing the highway to go over and relax in the park. It's a beautiful park, don't get me wrong. So I thought that was a missed opportunity to help solve some of the downtown parking area. And I would continue to be an advocate to look at all that space, and in one of the corners, put a tastefully done parking garage where at least we can move a number of cars off our streets and off of Garfield Avenue if possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, open floor, any other, these are all great ideas and suggestions. Anyone else? Kemp, please, sir. Kemp, if you just introduce yourself and you know the drill.
Kemp Dawson. I live at Paget Court, Bethany West. I work with the J1s, Chief Foley and Officer Rogers. We've had many meetings with the J1s with our operation. We give out a number of bikes every season. I've only been involved with the bicycles for 2 years. It looks like I want to be there for a long time. But anyways, I came here a little late, I apologize. You mentioned briefly sidewalk use by bicycles. We have had a lot of problems with trying to keep our international students to obey the laws, wear helmets, bike lanes, same direction of traffic, and it hasn't been 100% for us. The feedback we get from very few is that they use the sidewalks as a relief for safety because they don't feel, because of the traffic volume, that the bike lane is safe enough. And they're only for certain stretches. From DeFibos to cross the bridge over to Ocean View, the bike lane gets a little narrow, so they offload on the sidewalks. And it happens quite a bit at that point. So the transition to a sidewalk. I don't know if Chief Foley or Officer Rogers had mentioned or seen any of these kids doing it, but for us, I don't have a beef with it. If they don't feel safe, let them go. Let them do it. And they're courteous. They get out of the way. If there's a pedestrian, they'll stop, they'll move. But they just want to have that option to move themselves out of an area that they think is less safe to a sidewalk. They don't want to walk. They would rather drive, of course, so, because they are between jobs. But I don't know if that's on the table as far as letting them use sidewalks at certain times of day or if it's restricted totally.
Great.
All right?
Thank you, Kemp. And Kemp and his team, really, I want to give them another thank you for all the work they do on not only providing the bikes, but what Kemp just talked about. He and I have had numerous conversations about the behavioral change piece. How do you incent people? How do you engage with that? So, again, Kemp, thank you and your team for what you're doing. Any other comments from the community? We have a couple council members here. You're welcome. Rich, Mayor, anyone else here that's here has any other comments? Okay. So I have some potential dates for 2025. I'll send to you all separately. Would have been in the deck, so we can start to block those out for the next year.
Yep.
And we won't. My proposal is we won't have any more meetings this year, but we'll start back up in January. We'll have the input that we've gotten here. We'll have the other initiatives that we're built. You know, the feedback we've given each other on the things that we want to continue and build on. And we'll start that in January as we then start prepping for the 2026 season. So while I have everybody, before we adjourn, I just want to give a special thanks to Bob and Art and Mark and Diane and Carl and Dan particularly, who are members of the community that step forward. And it's really a privilege for Teresa and I. We're on the council, obviously, but these folks step up and just do anything that's required.
And more.
Take initiative, lead it, and then we get Julie, who's on the town, actually has a full-time job, and Chief Foley, who have just given us great input and support over the years, and we're really they're integral members of our team. So I just want to, from Teresa and I, thank you all for everything you're doing for the community, because it really makes a difference. I just want to give you guys a round of applause. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Art?
Oh, hold on.
Cliff? Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry. If you're going to leave somebody out, leaving the mayor is, well, that's really a faux pas that I'm going to probably not relive.
Not a good job.
Well, that might be more golf, actually.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, you know, all the comments today were fantastic, and what you're doing as a committee is really good, and it's really good to hear from residents as to, you know, what they feel about in their communities, and as the town as a whole. You know, it is a difficult task, and it's a juggling act, especially in the summer for the parking. You know, I think the town does an extremely good job of parking. We have well over 1,000 spaces pay to park, and that doesn't even include the side streets with the business parking and the resident parking. That's all on top of that. And we go as far as bringing in, you know, to as we get into the future, we're gonna have to think of other things, and we have already done the shuttles coming in from the back communities. People have to get out of their cars sometimes, you know, and they're reluctant to do that, but they really need to start thinking that way. And I think it's happening. I mean, you see those shuttle buses coming in from Bishop's Landing and Millville by the Sea, and, you know, there's a heck of a lot of people that live out there. And they use them, and they are full. I think that does a tremendous job of alleviating some of the parking. You know, and then, you know, our own trolley in town does an unbelievable job too, just circulating between the back areas of Bethany Beach where, you know, you'd be surprised how many of those houses out in Bethany West are rented during the summertime, and they're by families. And they can get downtown without bringing a car downtown, and it doesn't cost them anything. You know, I mean, I think as time goes along, people start thinking a little bit more about the flexibility of moving around. Everybody's glued to that car. And, you know, sometimes it's better to get away from it a little bit. So, but thank you for the comments I heard today, and believe me, I mean, Mickey, Teresa, and everybody on the committee knows how much juggling we do and discussion we do about parking and about safety. Safety is extreme, and you know, we've been lucky here in the past. We haven't had any major accidents, and, you know, knock on wood, I hope that keeps up, but we'll see. So, thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Dan, that hand went up awful quick. That was too quick, Dan. How about from this side of it? Okay, Art?
Oliver, yeah.
Unanimous vote? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
Thanks, Mickey.